Hi everyone, I'm Dr. Reena Malik, urologist and men's health specialist. Today we're talking about something really important, especially if you're a man over 50. As you age, your body changes. And just like you maintain routines for your heart, blood pressure, or fitness, your penis deserves the same attention. Why? Because sexual health is directly tied to your overall health. It can be an early warning sign for conditions like diabetes, heart disease, and even hormonal imbalances. In this video, I'll walk you through a simple evidence-based routine every man over 50 should start today. These aren't gimmicks, they're science-backed habits that improve blood flow, protect erectile function, boost confidence, and support long-term urinary and sexual health. Think of it as your penny's fitness plan. So if you want to stay healthy, active, and perform at your best well into your later years, keep watching. When it comes to men's health after the age of 50, one truth becomes crystal clear. Blood flow is everything. Every erection you've ever had, every sensation you've ever felt, and every moment of confidence in your sexual performance is tied to how well blood moves through your arteries. Think about it this way, your penis is like a barometer of your vascular health. If blood isn't flowing properly to this part of your body, it's usually a sign that something bigger is happening beneath the surface. The same arteries that bring blood to the penis are the ones supplying your heart and your brain. When those vessels start narrowing, when they lose elasticity, when plaque begins to form, the first place you'll notice it isn't always in your chest. It's often in the bedroom. That's why so many urologists call erectile dysfunction the canary in the coal mine. It's an early warning system telling you that your circulation is struggling and your body needs intervention. The science behind this is powerful. Erections depend on the ability of the arteries in the penis to dilate, allowing a surge of blood to fill the erectile tissue. Inside these tissues are tiny chambers that trap blood under pressure, creating firmness. If the lining of your blood vessels, what doctors call the endothelium, isn't working properly, that process simply doesn't happen. Endothelial dysfunction is driven by things like high blood pressure, elevated cholesterol, diabetes, smoking, and lack of physical activity. These same factors are the leading causes of heart attack and stroke. So the truth is simply when you start paying attention to blood flow for the sake of your sexual health, you're not just improving erections, you're protecting your life. After 50, the risks rise sharply because the arteries naturally stiffen with age. This isn't just about lifestyle choices, it's biology. Collagen builds up, elastin breaks down, and vessels lose their flexibility. But here's the empowering part. Lifestyle has the power to slow this process and in many cases reverse the damage that's already been done. Regular exercise, even just brisk walking for 30 minutes a day, has been shown to boost nitric oxide production, the molecule that relaxes blood vessels and allows for better circulation. Men who stay active not only live longer, they perform better sexually because their arteries remain open and responsive. What you put in your body matters just as much. Diets rich in fruits, vegetables, lean proteins, whole grains, and healthy fats nourish the endothelial lining, reduce inflammation, and keep cholesterol under control. The Mediterranean diet is one of the most studied for this purpose. It doesn't just protect the heart, it enhances erectile function. On the other hand, diets high in processed foods, sugars, and saturated fats accelerate arterial damage, making blood flow weaker and erections less reliable. Imagine your arteries as a garden hose. If the walls of the hose are clogged with sludge, the water trickles out weakly. But if the hose is clear, the water surges. The same principle applies to the penis. Smoking is another critical piece. Every cigarette constricts your blood vessels and damages the lining inside them. Long term, it leads to narrowing of arteries, poor circulation, and dramatically higher rates of erectile dysfunction. Quitting smoking at any age improves blood flow, and men often notice improvements in their erections within months of stopping. Alcohol plays its role too. Small amounts can relax the blood vessels, but regular heavy drinking damages the liver, alters hormone levels, and weakens vascular function. Balance is the key, and moderation is your ally. Sleep and stress weave into this picture in ways that many men underestimate. Poor sleep raises blood pressure, increases cortisol, and disrupts the natural rhythm of testosterone production. Stress tightens arteries and activates the sympathetic nervous system, which is the exact opposite of what you need for a healthy erection. A relaxed state is what allows blood to flow freely into the penis. Chronic tension, anxiety, and poor sleep hygiene choke off this process. That's why men who learn to manage stress, who prioritize rest, often see measurable improvements in both their cardiovascular and sexual performance. It's also worth recognizing that medications can influence blood flow. Drugs for high blood pressure, depression, and other common conditions may interfere with erections. This doesn't mean you should ever stop them on your own, but it does mean conversations with a physician are critical. Sometimes small adjustments or alternative therapies can restore balance and improve circulation without compromising treatment for other conditions. And finally, there's the role of routine checkups. Many men avoid seeing a doctor until there's a crisis, but vascular health is not something you can afford to ignore. Regular blood pressure checks, cholesterol panels, blood sugar testing, and cardiovascular evaluations give you a roadmap of your internal circulation. Catching issues early allows for interventions that not only save your erections but extend your life. Men who treat their penis as a signal of overall health make smarter, more proactive decisions. When you look at the bigger picture, blood flow isn't just a piece of sexual health. It's the foundation. Every man over 50 needs to understand that protecting circulation is protecting masculinity, vitality, and longevity. It's about staying strong, staying confident, and maintaining quality of life well into the later decades. Without healthy arteries, nothing else matters. With them, everything else is possible. Testosterone decline is a reality every man faces with age. And the truth is, it starts far earlier than most people realize. Levels peak in the late teens and 20s, but after the age of 30, they begin a slow, steady drop of about 1% each year. By the time you cross 50, this decline has accumulated and the effects can become noticeable. Energy levels aren't what they used to be. Muscle mass is harder to maintain. Fat seems easier to store around the midsection, and libido doesn't carry the same spark. What's important to understand is that while this process is natural, lifestyle has a powerful role in determining how much it affects you. Testosterone is not only about sex drive, it's about vitality, bone density, metabolism, mood, and overall resilience. It shapes how you age and whether those years feel vibrant or draining. At the biological level, testosterone production happens primarily in the testicles, stimulated by signals from the brain through the hypothalamus and pituitary gland. This system is finely tuned, but it's also sensitive to disruption. Excess body fat, especially visceral fat around the abdomen, interferes with this process because fat tissue produces estrogen, which lowers the brain signal to make testosterone. Poor sleep lowers testosterone production by disrupting the circadian rhythm that controls hormone release. Chronic stress floods the body with cortisol, a hormone that directly suppresses testosterone. Alcohol, smoking, and certain medications can also dampen the body's ability to maintain healthy levels. So while aging is a factor you can't control, the environment you create inside your body plays an enormous role in how quickly testosterone falls and how hard the consequences hit. Physical activity is one of the most powerful tools for protecting and boosting testosterone naturally. Resistance training, especially exercises that engage large muscle groups like squats, deadlifts, and push-ups, stimulates the body to release more of this hormone. High-intensity interval training has a similar effect, while long excessive endurance workouts can actually have the opposite impact by raising cortisol and draining reserves. Men who commit to regular strength training not only maintain higher testosterone, but they also preserve lean muscle, improve bone density, and reduce fat, all factors that feed back into a healthier hormonal balance. The body responds like a loop. More muscle supports more testosterone, and more testosterone supports more muscle. Diet is another cornerstone. Nutrients like zinc, magnesium, and vitamin D are essential for testosterone production. And deficiencies are common in men as they age. Lean proteins, nuts, seeds, leafy greens, fatty fish, and whole grains provide the building blocks your body needs. Processed foods, sugars, and excessive alcohol do the opposite by driving inflammation and damaging the delicate hormonal feedback loop. Even something as simple as maintaining steady blood sugar by reducing refined carbohydrates can protect testosterone because insulin resistance is a major disruptor of hormonal health. The body thrives on balance, and testosterone is a hormone that punishes neglect but rewards consistency. Body composition plays a critical role. Carrying excess fat, especially in the abdominal area, is strongly linked to lower testosterone. The relationship is two-way. Low testosterone makes it harder to burn fat, while more fat tissue produces estrogen that lowers testosterone further. It becomes a vicious cycle unless action is taken. That's why weight management isn't only about appearance. It's a direct hormonal intervention. Losing just 10 to 15 pounds can make measurable differences in hormone levels, energy, and sexual function. For men over 50, this kind of change can mean the difference between struggling through the day and moving with vitality. Sleep is often underestimated, yet it's one of the strongest regulators of testosterone. The majority of daily testosterone release happens during deep sleep. Missing out on quality rest for even a week can significantly reduce levels. Men who sleep fewer than 6 hours a night often present with the hormonal profile of someone 10 years older. Prioritizing 7 to 10 hours of restorative sleep is a prescription as important as any pill. Dark, quiet environments, consistent bedtime routines, and limiting screens before bed are not luxuries. They are direct investments in hormonal longevity. Stress management is equally vital. Cortisol, the stress hormone, has a direct inverse relationship with testosterone. The more cortisol in your system, the less testosterone your body produces. Chronic stress is like a slow poison to male vitality. Techniques like mindfulness, meditation, controlled breathing, or even simple hobbies that bring joy can lower cortisol and allow testosterone to remain at healthier levels. Movement, nature, exposure, and social connection all provide stress relief that keeps hormones in balance. It's important, too, to understand that testosterone is not only about numbers on a lab report. Many men become obsessed with the exact figure on their blood test, but what matters most is the combination of levels and symptoms. A man with slightly lower levels but excellent lifestyle habits may feel energetic and sexually strong, while another with higher levels but poor habits may feel sluggish and weak. The point is not to chase a perfect number, but to build a body and mind environment where testosterone can thrive naturally. In some cases, medical evaluation is necessary, and treatments exist when levels fall below healthy ranges. But for most men over 50, the first and most effective steps are in daily habits. Exercise, diet, sleep, stress reduction, and weight control are the foundation. These steps not only maintain testosterone, they also protect heart health, brain health, and overall longevity. Hormones don't work in isolation. They are part of a network that influences nearly every aspect of life. When testosterone is supported, confidence rises, motivation improves, relationships benefit, and aging feels less like decline and more like transformation. The pelvic floor is a hidden powerhouse in the body, a set of muscles most men rarely think about until problems arise. These muscles sit like a hammock at the bottom of the pelvis, holding up organs, supporting bladder and bowel control, and playing a direct role in sexual function. For decades, conversations about the pelvic floor were almost exclusively centered around women, but the truth is, men depend on these muscles just as much. Neglecting them is like ignoring the foundation of a house. Everything above may look fine for a while, but weakness eventually leads to collapse. After 50, when the body naturally begins to lose muscle mass and control, training this forgotten area can transform both function and confidence. The pelvic floor is deeply connected to the mechanics of erections. When blood enters the penis, it's the pelvic floor muscles that contract to trap that blood inside, creating firmness and sustaining it during intimacy. If these muscles are weak, erections become less reliable, more difficult to maintain, and more easily lost. On the other hand, strengthening them creates control, power, and endurance that many men thought was gone forever. Studies have shown that targeted pelvic floor exercises can improve erectile strength as effectively as certain medications, but with no side effects. The body responds to training the same way here as it does in the arms or chest. Muscles adapt, grow stronger, and perform better when challenged consistently. These muscles are also the guardians of ejaculation control. Men who struggle with premature release often don't realize the pelvic floor is at the center of the problem. By learning how to contract and relax these muscles deliberately, it's possible to build stamina and prolong intimacy, something that creates not only physical benefits, but also psychological confidence. The ability to master control over one's body in this way has ripple effects into relationships, self-esteem, and overall satisfaction. Urinary health is another dimension where the pelvic floor plays an essential role. With age, prostate changes can put pressure on the bladder, leading to urgency, leakage, or difficulty starting and stopping urination. Strong pelvic floor muscles act like a supportive valve, giving men the ability to resist leaks and maintain proper control. For anyone who has experienced the embarrassment of accidental leakage, even small improvements in muscle strength can feel life-changing. This is why pelvic floor training is often prescribed after prostate surgery. It helps men recover bladder control and restore sexual function. But waiting until problems begin is like waiting until your teeth hurt before brushing them. Preventive strengthening builds resilience before a decline sets in. Training the pelvic floor is not complicated, but it requires awareness. The first step is identifying the right muscles. One simple way is to notice the muscles used to stop urination midstream. That contraction you feel deep inside is the pelvic floor activating. Another way is to tighten, as if trying to prevent passing gas. Once identified, the goal is to practice controlled contractions and relaxations, often called Kegels. These can be done anywhere, sitting, standing, or lying down, and no one around you will ever know. The key is consistency. Just like lifting weights, small daily sessions build strength over weeks and months. A basic practice might involve tightening the pelvic floor for a count of 5, then relaxing for 5, repeating this 10 times in a row. Over time, the duration and number of repetitions can be increased. Quick pulsing contractions can also be added to train endurance and responsiveness. What matters most is forming a routine. Some men pair the exercises with daily habits like brushing teeth or watching television to ensure they don't forget. Over time, improvements in sexual stamina, urinary control, and overall pelvic strength become noticeable. Beyond direct exercises, other lifestyle factors influence the pelvic floor. Chronic constipation, for example, weakens these muscles because constant straining places excessive pressure on them. Staying hydrated, eating enough fiber, and keeping digestion healthy are indirect ways of protecting the pelvic floor. Carrying excess weight also stresses the muscles, while smoking damages blood flow to the region, slowing healing and reducing strength. Even posture has an impact. Spending long hours slouched in a chair compresses the pelvic area, making it harder for these muscles to activate properly. Learning to sit tall and move regularly supports better engagement and strength. Breathing is another surprising connection. The diaphragm and pelvic floor move in harmony, rising and falling together with each breath. When breathing is shallow or stressed, the pelvic floor often becomes tense or weak. Practicing deep belly breathing not only relaxes the nervous system, but also coordinates the pelvic floor, improving its natural rhythm and responsiveness. This link between breath, core, and pelvic stability is why practices like yoga and pilates often enhance sexual and urinary health without directly targeting the area. They bring the system into balance. One of the most powerful aspects of pelvic floor training is how quickly results can appear. Within weeks of consistent practice, many men notice stronger erections, better control, and reduced leakage. Over months, these benefits solidify into lasting improvements. The changes aren't just physical, they touch every part of life. Confidence grows when a man knows he has control over his body. When he no longer worries about losing performance or leaking unexpectedly, that confidence extends into relationships, social life, and even professional settings because physical control creates mental assurance. Ignoring the pelvic floor is easy because it's hidden, but it is the silent engine of male health after 50. By bringing it into focus, by dedicating just minutes each day to training, men can reclaim strength, control, and performance that they assumed was lost to aging. This is not about tricks or temporary fixes. It is about building a foundation that supports the entire lower body system. Strong pelvic floor muscles don't just prevent decline, they create the possibility of thriving even in later decades of life. Sleep and stress are two forces that silently shape every aspect of male health. Yet, they are often ignored until the consequences can no longer be denied. After 50, when the body is already adapting to natural shifts in hormones, metabolism, and circulation, poor sleep and chronic stress act like accelerants that speed up decline. They creep in unnoticed, stealing energy, reducing drive, and slowly undermining sexual vitality. What makes them dangerous is not only their presence, but the way they erode health without obvious warning signs until the body reaches a breaking point. Sleep is far more than rest. It is the engine of repair. During deep sleep, the body releases growth hormone, repairs tissues, consolidates memory, and most importantly for men, produces the majority of daily testosterone. Missing even a few nights of quality sleep reduces hormone production, lowers energy, and dampens libido. Research has shown that just 1 week of sleeping fewer than 6 hours a night can cause a man's testosterone levels to resemble those of someone 10 to 15 years older. Over time, this chronic deprivation becomes a hidden hormone thief, draining strength and desire without mercy. The quality of erections is also tied directly to sleep. At night, during rapid eye movement, REM sleep, the body naturally cycles through erections, which are not only a sign of sexual health, but also a mechanism for nourishing penile tissue. These nightly erections keep blood flowing, delivering oxygen and preventing tissue from becoming rigid or scarred. Without deep and restorative sleep, these natural cycles are disrupted, weakening the system in ways that show up later as erectile dysfunction. So when sleep suffers, vitality suffers on every level, hormonal, physical, and psychological. Stress is the other silent force, and it works in close partnership with poor sleep to sabotage male health. The body's stress hormone, cortisol, was designed for short bursts of danger, not for endless daily activation. Yet, modern life often keeps cortisol elevated for hours, even days on end. This constant flood suppresses testosterone, narrows blood vessels, and keeps the nervous system locked in fight or flight mode. Erections require relaxation of smooth muscles and open blood flow, but stress closes everything down. It creates the exact opposite conditions of what is needed for intimacy. The effects of stress extend beyond performance in the bedroom. Chronic activation of the sympathetic nervous system wears down the heart, raises blood pressure, disturbs digestion, and clouds mental clarity. It leaves a man feeling drained, irritable, and disconnected. Relationships suffer because presence and patience become harder to maintain, and as confidence falls, the stress cycle only deepens, creating a spiral that feels difficult to escape. Breaking this cycle requires intention, but the rewards are profound. Restorative sleep must become non-negotiable. Simple practices: keeping a consistent bedtime, creating a dark and cool environment, limiting caffeine and alcohol late in the day, shutting off screens an hour before bed, reset the body's natural rhythms. Small changes compound, and within weeks energy levels rise, testosterone improves, and vitality begins to return. Prioritizing sleep is not indulgence. It is one of the most powerful forms of self-care a man can commit to after 50. Managing stress requires an equally deliberate approach. The body cannot be tricked. It needs genuine recovery states to counterbalance the tension of modern living. Deep breathing exercises, mindfulness, meditation, and physical activity all lower cortisol and shift the body back toward balance. Even something as simple as walking outside surrounded by natural light and fresh air can reset stress levels. These practices don't need to consume hours. Even 10 to 15 minutes of intentional relaxation daily can rewire the nervous system and reduce the constant drain of stress hormones. Exercise carries a double benefit here. It not only reduces stress, but also improves sleep quality, making it one of the most effective tools for restoring balance. Strength training, aerobic activity, or even yoga create physical fatigue that encourages deeper rest while simultaneously lowering cortisol. The body craves movement, and when it is given, the cycles of stress and poor sleep begin to break apart. In turn, testosterone rises, erections become stronger, and overall confidence is rebuilt. It is also essential to recognize the role of mental and emotional release. Bottling up frustrations and carrying unresolved conflicts keep the nervous system on high alert. Finding healthy outlets, whether through conversation, creative expression, or even journaling, creates relief. Men who learn to let go, to breathe through challenges instead of storing them, discover that stress loses much of its destructive power. Nutrition feeds into this system as well. High sugar diets and excessive stimulants like caffeine keep cortisol levels unstable, while nutrient-dense foods support a calmer nervous system. Magnesium found in leafy greens and nuts is particularly effective at relaxing muscles and supporting sleep. Omega-3 fatty acids found in fish help regulate mood and lower inflammation. Even hydration plays a role, as dehydration raises cortisol and interferes with rest. Each small choice around food and drink either fuels stress or builds resilience against it. What makes sleep and stress such critical factors in male health after 50 is that they act as multipliers. Poor sleep lowers testosterone and weakens erections. Stress tightens vessels and suppresses hormones. Together, they amplify decline, accelerating problems that might have been delayed or prevented, but the reverse is also true. Better sleep and calmer stress states multiply positive effects, raising hormones, improving performance, strengthening the heart, and lifting mood. They are levers that shift the entire direction of aging. By choosing to protect sleep and manage stress, men aren't just adding comfort to their lives. They are reclaiming control over the very systems that define energy, desire, and vitality. These two forces may be silent, but their impact is thunderous. Addressing them head-on is one of the most powerful steps towards staying strong, confident, and fully alive well beyond the age of